Hello, everybody. Warm welcome to the session where I'm going to talk about how to build a software. So, for many of you, it must have been a mystery to see big softwares running in many places. You might have been wondering how people are building this kind of softwares. As you know, generally, for doing anything, there needs to be a plan, there needs to be a strategy, there needs to be an approach that needs to be worked out before it gets started with. So, in similar way, here also, while we build a software, we need a proper approach towards how we are going to do that. Now, this is a topic which is very close to my heart, and I thought I'll make it into a video that can benefit people. So, we will see in this particular edition at a high level how we will build a software. In the subsequent editions, we will get into the details and examples. So here we get started. Now, in order to build a software for a particular domain or a functional area, you should know the domain of the software. Now, what do we mean by domain here? Because domain can be very different for different people. Now, domain is basically a functional area where we need to automate and solve a particular problem. So that is the domain or a functional area which we will be talking about here. It is very important that we know the domain very well before we go about designing a solution or developing a software. So many times it so happens that the softwares people start building without knowing the domain very well. That becomes a problem in later stage. So it's very important that we know the domain very well. For example, it could be travel domain, it could be telecom domain, it can be retail domain, it can be banking domain, it can be education domain, it can be any other domain that you can think of. So knowing the domain or functional space becomes very important in this process of building a software. Now, well, now I assume that we know the domain, we know the problem space very well. So we need an approach. We need the way to develop the software. So there are different ways to develop a software. Now, one of the ways is domain driven design, and a very popular one as well. So this involves studying the problem space uh, in the functional domain and dividing it into smaller areas of interest or subdomains, so which is more like divide and conquer. As part of the process, we'll identify various smaller elements that will lead us to build the software. Now, what are those elements? How are we going to do that? We will cover in subsequent editions of this topic. Now, how do we go about identifying those smaller elements? It could be subdomain, or it could be entities, it could be events, so many other things. How do we do that? That should be a process, there should be a way, there should be a method. So that's what we call as event storming. Now, event storming is a key part of the activity that helps us establish a subdomain and its components. Now, how will we do the event storming? All that will, as I told you, this is only a high level view I want to give you during this edition where we only talk about what it takes to build a software. Now, how it takes to build that software, we'll see in subsequent editions of this topic. So once I talked about, just to recollect what we spoke so far, we talked about domain driven design. We talked about subdomains. We talked about event storming. Now we talk about domain modeling. So as an outcome of that event storming, we get various components. One of some, I mean, like one category of them is the entities. Now, event domain modeling elaborates on that. So this will help identify. This will put clarity in the elements that we identified so far. So this will lead us to build the APIs. This will lead us to identify the APIs, which we can build subsequently in our development phase. So domain modeling is another important part of the process of building the software. So basically, this is the process which I'm going to elaborate in upcoming editions of the topic. So thanks for watching this edition. Please, if you have not subscribed so far, subscribe this channel and continue to watch other topics and other editions of the same topic. Thank you.